Let's talk about a 2024 race you probably have not heard about yet. The governor's race in Montana. First-term Republican Governor Greg Gianforte has not said if he plans to run again. He won by about 13 points back in 2020. But one key detail about Montana, it is the #1 state in the country when it comes to gun ownership per household. Nearly 2/3 of adults there live in a home with at least one gun. That is what makes the new entry into the governor's race so very interesting. His name is Ryan Busse, and he is running for the Democratic nomination. He used to work as a firearms executive, but has since become a critic of the gun industry. So the question is, can a gun safety advocate win in a state with one of the most well-armed people in the country? Joining me now to discuss, the man himself, Ryan Busse. He's the author of Gunfight, My Battle Against the Industry That Radicalized America. He also serves as a senior policy advisor to Giffords, the gun safety nonprofit led by former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. I'm so glad you're here, Ryan, and I want to make it very clear. You are not anti-guns. You're a gun owner. You're a hunter. You hunt with your sons, but you're a big gun safety advocate. Can someone with your stance on the gun industry win in your state?
Yeah, they absolutely can. And thanks for having me, Steph. Great to be here tonight. Look, there isn't a single responsible gun owner in this country that thinks it's okay for kids to get hurt in schools. There isn't a single one that thinks it's okay for radicalized jackwagons to march up and down the streets with loaded AR-15s, scaring kids or trying to intimidate people. There isn't a single one that thinks it's okay that gun-fueled radicalization pushed a lot of people to do what they did on January 6th. So I'm here to represent responsible people, responsible gun owners. I'm one of them. I was hunting with my son just a couple days ago. I hope to do it again. I own lots of guns. And I'll tell you what, I think I'm to the right of really radicalized people on guns. And I'll tell you why, because I will do what is responsible to save our rights, to save our democracy. And that's what decent, responsible people do.
Not representing radicalized jackwagons. All right, for people, Ryan, unlike our team who are not familiar with you and your background, can you explain your journey from someone who worked within the industry to the position you're in now?
Yeah, I grew up on a ranch. I grew up outside of a town of 641 people. I graduated with 16 kids. A lot of my best times in my life have been spent with guns, you know, hunting with my dad, my grandfather, my brother, now my own sons. And that's the way a lot of lives for a lot of Democrats across the country are. And I think a lot of coastal Democrats have lost touch with the sort of cultural connections that people like me have to guns and so many other things in our lives. And so I'm not about, doing away with any of that. In fact, I'm all about celebrating it. I got into the gun industry after I graduated from college, and for the first few years in the industry, it was really a dream job for me. But I saw radicalization, really dangerous radicalization, take over the industry, and now I'm seeing the same thing happen in our state, and I've got to stand up and do something about it.
People consider gun ownership, gun culture as part of sort of great Americana. Another thing that people love in this country is high school football, Friday night lights. Can we talk about this horrifying trend that we're seeing? It is not even October, and there has been 16 school shootings, at high school football games in this country. You've got kids in high school just like I do. What in the world is going on?
Well, look, guns are really emblematic of so many of the other things in our country, right? We have to balance the rights of people to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and our Second Amendment rights. And responsible gun owners want to do that. This is the same thing that we face in so many other areas of our lives. And this breakdown in our culture, this all or nothingism, this NRA-ism where you have to be 100% for guns or 100% anti-guns, that's not where most people are. That's not where I am. That's not where millions of Democrats are. That's not where most gun owners are. And so we know that if we want to maintain our rights, we also have to maintain the rights of people to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that includes football games.
Sure does. Definitely in the fall. Ryan, good luck to you. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight.